Hi, it's your teacher, Miss Squizzle, back with another lesson. We were supposed to be studying the Muslim Civil War of 2075, but you guys said you needed more context for how Muslims and Mormons became the only people left on the planet. You were supposed to learn that last year. The last fall of the liberal man was a whole unit study last year. Last fall of the liberal man. In 2068, there was a man named Kyle Blue who was the leader of the Liberal Man Party. The Liberal Man Party was shrinking drastically due to the decline of reproduction. So Kyle Blue tried cloning himself. This created all kind of controversy, which is odd because clones were previously accepted as far back as 2050, but in 2068 they weren't accepted anymore because there was the clone purge of 2005. I think it was the year 2060. There was a clone purge, and by the year 2068 people were very against clones because after the violence they did not want any more. But Kyle Blue said, we don't have enough people, the only way we can fight a war is with clones. So Kyle Blue kidnapped a scientist, Dr. Pernathis, and started trying to force him to make clones of himself. But it turns out that Dr. Pernathis was actually not a doctor. He had just got an honorary doctorate from a liberal arts college, so he actually couldn't help Kyle Blue. So that's when Lila Aardvark comes into play, because at the time she was the head of the Department of the Ethics of Science. So she was the one that was like deciding if things were right or wrong with clones and robots and other sort of organisms. And she had Kyle Blue arrested. Kyle Blue was when Kyle Blue was arrested, a lot of his followers they started calling themselves the Blueies, and there were tons of protest. Since now all the liberal men were on the street, the Muslims attacked them in the streets, and that was called the last stand of the liberal man. Kyle Blue, actually, they rescued him from prison, and then he was martyred in the streets, and it was quite, the pictures from it, actually that's your assignment, is to go home and research all the pictures from the last stand of the liberal man. They are quite tragic. I would love to see some paintings, some retellings, maybe some comic retellings. Very tragic tale, but that is how we got to the point where in 2072 there were only Muslims and Mormons. Thank you for being here today and listening so attentively. You should have known that from last year, really. But since you insisted, I hope you learned something. Bye.